over to Babylon, over here and even beyond. Abraham was born in a place called Ur of the Chaldeans, which would be here. Okay?
Okay.
This is where modern-day Kuwait is at. And he traveled from here, okay, all the way north to a place called, where is it? Haran.
Yep.
Okay, Haran, which is in modern-day Turkey. And then from Haran, he would have followed a route down to the land of Canaan. Okay, so you see the journeys of Abraham from his, birthplace and to the place where God was going to settle him down. Now, along this road, as I explained earlier, a number of key cities were developed. Damascus is one of them. But in this case, we're talking about Megiddo. Megiddo would be right here. And now when we kind of zoom in to the location of Megiddo, you can see the Carmel mountain range, okay? And this is where Caesarea by the Sea is at. So you see the coastal plain on this side, the Jezreel Valley over here, and you see the road right here that went through the mountains. And earlier I pointed at one of the luxury hotels in this region, the Megiddo prison, which is right there. In fact, the city of Megiddo was right by that junction, and whoever was in control over that city was effectively in control over the highway. That's why the city changed hands time and time and time again. So in a way, the history of this land is the history of its roads. Okay, it was never a major center, maybe except for the time of Solomon, but rather an important passage between various different parts of the Middle East. You can see very clearly here that this narrow patch of land, okay, which the Bible calls the land of Canaan or the land of Israel, was situated between the desert to the east and the sea to the west. That was the corridor, okay, the highway between Mesopotamia and Egypt. Now, if you can turn around and look at this picture over here, okay, folks, if you can just one step back, look at the picture there, okay. This is a picture of a high place. Next time you read in the Bible about the high places and how they placed those statues on top of the high places, it wasn't necessarily on a high mountain, although they did worship pagan gods on the high mountains. A high place was essentially a platform, very much like the one we saw yesterday at Tel Dan, where they would offer sacrifices to the idol gods. And so you see the circular altar that was right there in the center, and it's up there on top of the hill. And this dates back to the Canaanite period. Before the arrival of Joshua and the Israelites, these were the original inhabitants of the land, and this is one of the most completed high places ever to be found in this land. Okay? And so it's very well preserved. You can see the structure. It was part of a larger compound, and all around it, archaeologists discovered these figurines that you see over to the right. Okay, so of course they're on display in different museums, but they actually depict various different idols, various different pagan deities, and the most central of those was the pagan god Baal, or Baal. Okay, Baal was the god of fertility, he was the god of the elements, he was the provider of rain, he was the provider of food, he was basically the primary king or deity that people worshipped throughout the Canaanite period. And again, you see the depiction there of these pagan fertility gods and goddesses, and that was the culture that was here even before the arrival of the tribes of Israel into this part of the world.